we got ourselves here in Centum, and
Wow.
since then it's been. I thought like now that's where the story has ended.
Yeah.
But now I'll get to Ajiri. So we get here, and we start. Before then, we started a conversation with now my MD, Mr. James Nicole,
Yeah.
and Centum had just signed an MOU with the NYS to see how they can be able to connect the National Youth Service to job opportunities.
Yeah.
So we needed to develop a mobile application.
Okay.
Then when we visited with him, my boss now, James Nicole, there was a summit in the University of Nairobi. So many students came to him asking him, we've heard what Centum is doing for the blue collar, but how about also us, the graduates? So we realized actually this, whatever that we were supposed to build, it's not just made for blue collar alone, but also the white collar, everyone.
Absolutely.
As long as it's a youth looking for an opportunity, let's give them the opportunity. And yeah, we developed Ajiry.
Wow.
We had a program, we didn't quite have a name. And at this time, this was the last month. This was the last weeks still at the training. So I prayed and fasted about a name. Because you can have a very good product, but the name is what will announce
Absolutely,
that
absolutely.
product.
This pioneer name.
Yes, and I remembered even reference the story of Jacob. Jacob's name had to be changed
To Israel, yes.
to Israel for him to. So I was telling God, God, please give us a name.
Wow.
And one day, just got Ajiry. Ajiri.
Wow.
I wrote it down. Kwanza is R-I. I was like, no, this is a global product. Ajiri is very Swahili.
Yes.
So you have to make it look English. So put
Y.
remove the I, put a
Y.
Y. It's an English name. Ajiri means employee. You have a name. Then I sent to my boss. I was quite 50-50. Then I sent to my MD, he's like, I like, what does it mean? I write a whole narrative of how I came up with the name. I was like, that is the name. Let's go with the name. We come to Centum a week later after, joining Centum on the 16th, on the, I don't quite remember the date clearly. I think it was on 16th of May. We do the Ajiri launch. Again, doing the Ajiri launch is another miracle because I remember that time I had approached Chipukizi. Chipukizi, I love you like my brother, but I have to expose you. So I invited my brother Chipukizi to be the MC of the event.
Okay.
And he traveled to Zambia, and coming back, I think was a little bit fatigued, and his phone went off.
Okay.
And the interview is today afternoon at 2 p.m.
Oh my God.
The MC is not.
He's not there.
And I told myself, you know what, Brian, you've already done your 10%. You are a tither. Let God do your 90%.
90%. Wow.
And immediately I was at peace. Immediately Churchill calls me. It's like, Brian, this is Churchill. Yes, sir. You said your launch is today. Yes. And where is it? To Rivers. Okay, I'll be there. I'm like, wait, Churchill told me he's coming. So Holy Spirit reminded me, call Churchill back. I'm like, Churchill, you said you're coming. I've never met Churchill in person. He said, Churchill, you said you're coming. I'm like, yes, I'm coming. But you see, sir, I'm feeling, we actually had an MC, but I'm feeling if you just come and sit with the guests, definitely CK will be there, Dr. James Moria will be there, other big guests will be there. Like, you will not be noticed. And God has gifted you.
Absolutely.
How about
Absolutely.
I reshuffle all the plans that I have and you be there? I'm like, okay, let me speak to you when I get there. 20 minutes later, he's here to Rivers. He calls me. So how is the program? We quickly go through the program and he tells me, I'll do it for you. I'm like, oh, it's for free.
Oh my goodness.
And he tells me, don't tell anyone I did it for free. But I'm only sharing it because God used Churchill.
Absolutely.
And he did it so well. I was there, I'm like, and he's like, this is Ajiri. We are launching Ajiri. The future is Ajiri. Tuko katikati ya Ruaka. Narunda, and I'm like, yes, Ruaka is where I stay. Runda is my dream. So it's like this Ajiri is the transition for me, taking me back. So his words were connecting, and he did it so passionately, and it gained traction, and the launch ended up being a very good miracle. And a week later, we were doing over 5,000 users. 2 weeks again, we were over 10,000 users. Then one day we get my boss calls me, Mr. James Nicole, he's received a phone call from our group CEO, Dr. James Moria, that MasterCard Foundation, they're sending a team to come see what we are doing. So at this time round, we don't know who is coming.
Like to benchmark.
Yes,
My goodness.
no, not to benchmark.
Yeah.
They just they want to see what are sort of initiative that we're doing for the youth, and to see whether there are opportunities.
Okay.
So for us, my boss, I think he clicked. It might be a funded story. It might, but we are not very certain. So he packaged the presentation very well, and we got into the room for the first time. My group CEO, Dr. James Mori, my MD, Mr. James Nicole,
Yes.
my technical director, Simon Juguna, the executive assistant of my group CEO, and me. And I'm like, God. And that is my first time I'm getting to a center boardroom. I'm like, what is
how
happening?
you deal with mine,
I thought you had already done enough. What is happening?
We're just beginning.
And then we just seated there.
Yeah.
Guess who walks in? Madam Rita Roy, the global president of the MasterCard Foundation. With her delegation, we're like, okay. Okay, and immediately she does the introduction. We get to the meeting.
Wow.
So my group CEO actually knew she's the one to come.
Okay.
It's only that she was like trying to. And then we get to the meeting, and then when you're in a meeting, you are like, kuna kitu nataka kusema na kuna mtu. No one else is saying this thing that is pushing you. And I'm the only young person there. Okay. At that time I was 20. I was almost turning 23. I was 22.
Wow.
So there's that thing. And then God gives me the confidence. Because I remember before the meeting I prayed, and even I texted my pastor. I told him we're getting to a very big meeting. So he prayed for me.
Yeah.
So I got that boldness. I said, you know what? Let me just speak. Atakani kuchoma, let me choma. So he said, I started giving an elaboration of how much Ajiri means to the youth. And I gave example of what I went through when I was working in the real estate company. I shared that story. I was like, when I was, before joining Centum, I worked in real estate. Okay. And anytime I could go pick my director from the airport, he would start asking me a question. Brian, I have a new TV that is coming in. Where can I get someone who can come and mount the TV for me? Okay. Anytime his car has a problem, Brian, where can I get a good mechanic? And I felt, actually, the reason why the youth don't have an opportunity is because they don't have a platform that can connect the people with the opportunity and the people looking for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And definitely, because honor is due where it's necessary, definitely, the person looking for the opportunity might not be able to build the capacity or the etiquette that is required to meet the person with the opportunity and be able to convince them. But if you put them in a platform, you cut off that back and front conversation. Absolutely. It's just, I need this done. Let the application get to whoever. And it was like, wow. And then we go to a silence. And this is what Ajiri is meant to do. Wow. Now I was talking directly to the president, global president of the MasterCard Foundation. Then immediately I finished, there was silence in the room. I was like, boss, go and I was like, then she said, wow. As in, the minute she said that, I could tell, that attention. It's like, because even when I was talking, I didn't want to look at my boss's eyes, because, there's that look when you decided to become bold. I'm like, boss, we brought you here to listen in, not to speak. so she said, wow. And actually, I like the way now you're a youth, you're bringing it, the picture.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do, please, I think I'm convinced.
Wow.
And now she's speaking to the people they came. She came with. I'm actually going to make a decision, and you guys, you can bully me after this decision. But I feel for the first time, this is what we're going to do.
Wow.
We are going to give you a funding from the CEO's kitty for you guys to be able to come up with a budget. We just do a pilot to see whether this vision can be implemented, can work. And they were like, what is the budget projection? Do you have any budget projection? Then my boss, Mr. James Nicole, jumps in, because we had done like 1.5 million times, we're thinking of 15 million Kenya shillings. So I think this global CEO is like, you guys, who you're seated with? It's like now, he didn't quite wrap that directly. It's
Okay.
because we didn't expect like that conversation would go like that quick.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you need the first investor meeting,
Absolutely.
and then maybe another follow-up, another. It's
Yeah.
like, no, just don't be in a hurry in a decision. What we require you to do is we'll send you a deck,
Okay.
give you time also to do your projections, right? And be ambitious.
Yeah.
Be
Wow, I
ambitious.
like that. Be ambitious.
So by the time we went and started working out the budget, actually
Wow.
it came to around $1.4 million.
Wow.
And we send it just as it is. And even this time it was like even the MasterCard Foundation team, because we're new into this, they even guided us on how to, this is how to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you guys here, you're doing it the wrong way. Can you, because it's a fast phase. This is the first time, even, to be honest, I even sent them to get a grant.
Okay.
So we were quite, in Tribus, we were quite new in this, so they guided us. And when we were about to send that, we're like, don't you feel this is a lot of money? Like, let's just send it. And imagine, as it is, a few days later we got approval of the
Everything
sale.
approved. Wow.
Everything approved, and we got to the $1.4 million grant.
Wow.
And since then we've been impacting youth. We've been able to reach out to over 600,000 youth countrywide. We've been able to set up Ajiri centers in now over 10 locations across the country. We've been able, again, during COVID, we developed a program called Zero Contact Distribution System that was helping governments, parastatals, and NGOs to be able to give out food distribution with minimal contact. Like, we identify the person who needs to get relief food, then they will get a text, like an M-Pesa message with some details, like telling the person the time, the location where you need to come and pick your food.
Wow.
And even after that, again, MasterCard came through. They gave us 36 million Kenya shillings to just run that project. And since then, it's been glory to
after
glory.
Wow.
Now let me not speak but great things are happening even now.
Wow.
And it just shows how my story, I always look at my story and see how God can lift someone from nowhere.
Yeah.
And I cannot say I'm anywhere now. I'm only in God's presence where I know what it feels to be like favor.